Okay, let's now get back to the Vanguard newspaper. The headlines leading Oborowere orders defection. We are not bothered. That's coming from PDP LP Atiku's coalition. 2027 between APC Nigerians, that's attributed to the PDP acting national chairman. Delta defection, mockery of democracy. Abure's LP faction. More governors joining us soon, APC. That's coming from the Vanguard newspaper. When I was viewing some of the, first and foremost, let's just put facts out there. There's nothing wrong with defection. What I mean nothing wrong is the fact that no law holds back a governor.
Oh, yeah, you have freedom of association.
Yes, you have the right to go wherever you want to go.
But all things are good. Not all things are
But nobody
expedient.
can convince me otherwise, because not everything can be said on TV. This is about survival. So this is how politicians process. Politicians process survival first. And what does survival mean for a politician? Will I win the next election? If that answer is not certain, is in doubt, whatever entities or variable they are using as a yardstick to answer that question, exclusive to them, if they are not sure of their fate in the next election and how to carry on from there, trust me, they'll find another place. So I'm saying that to say that Nigerian politics in terms of political parties are not driven by ideology. So that's why this is a thing. So for instance, in America, even though Trump has come to shake up a few things, you cannot just wake up from being a Democrat to just being a Republican, not as if it doesn't happen or it cannot happen. But because of the parallels, there's a clear, it's like light and day. One supports gay, one doesn't support gay. One is free market, one wants subsidy. So there are strong parallel. One is pro-abortion, one is... You cannot just wake up and change your conviction. In fact, that in itself can cost you an election. Mm-hmm. So they track your opinion, mm-hmm. your philosophy, mm-hmm. All of those they attract. But in Nigeria, forget about that. It could be maybe somebody's personal, outlook on things. That's a different thing. But as a party, it's a different kettle of fish. So when politicians are not sure, for instance, some PDP members are even worried to the effect that what if something happens that we may not even have a presidential candidate because of this internal wrangling? Now, I don't want to call names, but what can help the PDP now is, at least the PDP that I've been looking at and the Labour Party, what can help them now is for the people in that part to drop their pride. And some people may have to drop their ambition to be able to reposition the PDP. The reason why I'm saying this is because this is not the first time a party is going to be, they call it one party or close to one party. PDP had its own fare at some points in Nigeria. But it's not good for democracy for one party to have that overbearing influence.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, whatever they say will look like is right. So Oborowere and his people, this is just political survival. So whatever grammar they speak, why not tasting well? Leave those ones first. They have to survive first, guys.
Well, up next for paper review this morning is this Nigeria. This Nigeria is not talking about politics. It's looking at the challenge of security. And take a look at the headline on the front page this morning is rendered thus: insecurity, state police talks shelved again. And there are a host of riders. National Economic Council defers deliberation on police decentralization, advocates modern ranching as panacea for farmers, herders conflict. That's the big story on the front page of this Nigeria. And, you could reflect on it for a bit and ask what exactly is happening to the ongoing constitution review. Of course, the last we heard was that it was going to take a couple of months for a consensus or a document to be arrived at. But we know that prior to that time, there had seemed to be a consensus amongst governors. And that was the bane initially, where there was no clear direction as to where we were headed as far as state policing was concerned. But when the governors began to reach their own epiphanies one after the other, what we saw from the north to the south was development of security initiatives. The debate about the efficacy of those security initiatives is another kettle of fish entirely. But this new direction is a bit unsettling because yet again we're at that point where we have not agreed on what exactly it is we want to do as far as security is concerned. If state police talks are shelved again, then we're not even talking about how to ensure recruitment. We're not talking about how to agree, to arm local security initiatives with ammunition such that they can fight security threats within their domain. We're not talking about a template for remuneration of local security initiatives, the preparedness of state governments to provide stability in that regard. And those are the real issues. We always talk about how it is important to empower locals to take charge of their own security, guys. Well, that's it from the front page of This Nigeria this morning.
There's that story also that caused a lot of concerns for travelers by air. NIMET workers suspend strike after FG's intervention, but that's just the latest part. Before that, lots of flights were disrupted. We understand that some still try to fly, perhaps using some other global navigation system or not, but majority of people who try to fly had a tough time. Some had to go by road. Imagine people who had connecting flights, international flights. I mean, they had to incur extra costs. So it was not a pretty day at all for travelers by air. But it's good to see that this has resumed. But what happens to the people who have incurred losses and the rest? Big question. But let's take a look at the Blueprint newspaper. Talks about politics. 2027 is yet to get the focus. And you see, this is coming from the APC on the front page of Blueprint for this Friday, April the 25th. 2027 done deal. More governors joining APC, Ganduje declares. I know some people have said read the room, especially with all of the other challenges around insecurity and the rest, but politicians will always be politicians. You see Senator Kawu, other NNPP chieftains defect to ruling party. Atiku-led coalition says we're unperturbed. Like Obi, PDP doesn't need structures to win. Damagum. He's also said that this election is going to be between the APC and Nigerians. At some point, it sounded like they were throwing in the towel or they were just leaving everything to the Nigerians. But you'll have to play a role as opposition and fix your house for the APC and the PDP as well.
By the way, Kari and Jeffrey, I don't know if you heard it yesterday, but the acting national chairman of the PDP echoed what Jeffrey said yesterday on the program. He said 2027 elections will be between the APC and Nigerians. And I was like, oh, he must have been watching the morning brief on Channels Television. Jeffrey, you have to be a consultant. I'm telling you.
Well, if they pay me, I'll consult for them. But I'm a journalist. But when you follow the polity, what I try to advise Nigerians, there are two places you remove your emotions from. When you're looking at those places, that one of those places is politics. The way they process, the way they calculate, the way they permutate is clearly different from you are looking at insecurity is not working, food is expensive. They're not looking at all of that. Look, they're not looking at all of that. They're looking at their science is if somebody is somewhere that has a bigger chance of winning, they can consider that person, no matter how unqualified or qualified that person is inconsequential. Victory then will not adopt governance. So. And when it comes to issues of court as well, it's the same thing. You keep your emotions aside and look at the merit of the case. So you just to pay attention anyway. So he knows what he's saying. He knows that if he doesn't do anything, but I can imagine how he feels. Damagun, for instance, the house is falling right before his face, literally, and he looks so powerless. PDP should just put it out in order. I think I have an idea what PDP can do to wake up, but will their pride and ego allow them to do? Anyway, I'm not going to consult for them, Bukola.
That's it. Turn down well, it wasn't a job offer anyway in the first place. It was a suggestion. I see this CBEC
I just
story.
want democracy to survive. They should rise to support democracy.
The CBEC story, court gives the FCC nod to arrest detained CBEC staff. Just to update, the people who are following this story. So there you have it, the front page of Blueprint newspaper. And other dailies for you this morning. Clearly, a lot of these things will shape the conversation, so watch out for more updates on the show.
Okay, maybe we go to what people are saying on social media, but we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Join us again.